It's time for all the news you need and more. Brookland is Live starts right now.
And it is a good Tuesday. I'm Jackson Mitchell. It's Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026. And it is good to be with you. We do begin right now with a developing story happening over in Pennsylvania. At 1:05 is when the remarks are scheduled Central Time to begin. President Trump is expected to speak at a Mack Big Truck, an 18-wheeler facility in Pennsylvania. So we are standing by for that full screen there as we do stand by for that. Again, those remarks scheduled for just about 4 minutes for now. When they begin, we are going to take you there live. So that is a story that we are following right now this afternoon to let you know kind of some of the other stories we are following. A few Supreme Court rulings earlier today. One that we brought you in a Brookland News special report specifically on if you could be a permanent resident and how that works when you go out of country and you travel back. I would recommend, if you want to know more about that, we broke it down all in a previous special report. Just go to our channel right here that you're watching on YouTube. Go to live, click the live section, then scroll down to where it says BN special report. I believe it says Supreme Court makes major decisions. So that is just one of the few things that we are watching right now from the Supreme Court. Again, that was earlier this morning. Today is also primary day in New York and several other states. There are a few big races in New York that we are watching to see the power that a New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani endorsement has behind those candidates. So several candidates that were endorsed by Mayor Mamdani were those Democrats challenging incumbents. So that is going to be something to watch as we go into tonight. Again, we are going to be standing by for this event to begin in Pennsylvania. We do want to get you started though with video from earlier really just moments ago, just before we came on the air. President Trump speaking to the press as he landed, and I believe it is Reading, it might be Reading, Pennsylvania. Speaking to the press there, we want to bring that to you on this Tuesday and what is been a pretty busy start to the day. So we'll start you off with this video. Again, this is President Trump taking questions as he landed before heading to the Mack facility for remarks expected to begin here just at any moment. So the president there stepping off of Air Force One. I'm going to turn the audio up here and we'll begin listening in.
Hello everybody, we're in Pennsylvania. We're celebrating the great steel numbers. We are back in the steel business in a big way, one of the biggest in the world again. And we're here to have a good time with a very big crowd of people.
Mr. President, the Department of War is asking for $80 billion more for the Iran war. Do you think Americans support this at a time when so many are financially struggling?
Who are you with?
I'm with the nation, sir.
Not a very good group. Not doing very well. Not only do they support it, they demand it because they won't allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. You want to see trouble? Let them have a nuclear weapon. We're doing very well with Iran. They've been decimated, and we're making a deal with them, and we'll see how that all goes. And right now, as you probably heard yesterday, we had 19 barrels of oil, 19 million barrels of oil come off, and that's the biggest in the history of the Strait, the Hormuz Strait. Our stock market is through the roof, and oil prices are tumbling. We actually hit for a moment today, in fact, I think it's going to break it, $70 a barrel. That's lower than we were when we started, and it's been amazing. And the big thing is, Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
Mr. House President, what's on your agenda for your meeting tomorrow with senators at the lunch about the Save America Act?
Well, we're just going to talk about Save America. We have to pass the Save America Act, which is voter ID, which is proof of citizenship, etc. We have to pass it. So we're going to have a talk about that and many other things. A lot of good relations.
Mr. President, the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, has told you many times he doesn't believe that they have the vote to pass it. That's what being a leader is about.
You know, he's a leader. John's a leader. That's what being as a leader is about. Look, we have to be able to get proof of citizenship when you vote. Otherwise, we don't have elections. We have to be able to get voter ID. So John is a leader, and hopefully he can get the votes.
Mr. President, on Iran, the Iranians are saying there's no scheduled visit for the IAEA inspectors. Is that part of your agreement?
They're wrong. They're wrong. They know they're wrong. They told us inside, and we have it down 100% inspections. And if they were right, I'd cancel the meetings right now.
When will those, from your view, Mr. President, when will those inspectors actually be on the ground?
At the appropriate time. At the appropriate time. There's no rush, but they'll be on the ground at the appropriate time.
Israeli forces have opened fire in southern Lebanon today, killing 2 people. Are you confident that the ceasefire is still holding?
Well, we'll see what. Look, they've been fighting each other for many, many years, decades, and we'll see. But it's going to come along.
Mr. President, on Nancy Guthrie, there's a note that our Ryan Ensign reported on that says that she's dead, she's with nature. Is there any hope that the FBI and investigators find her?
I hope they find her. I mean, Savannah's gone through a rough, that family's gone through hell, but I hope they find her.
Mr. President, reflecting pool, you mentioned yesterday that the Interior Department has video and photos. We reached out to them and they haven't shared it with us. Are you going to compel them to release
They've
it?
arrested, I think, 6 people on the reflecting pool. So the reflecting pool looks fantastic. I just got pictures of it. It's beautiful. But somebody went in with a knife and cut it. They cut it up good. And then they cut a 200, 350-foot slip in the form of lots of little slips, real horrible stuff, and they destroyed the grass. We put a brand new big load of grass out there, and they destroyed it. So it's all being fixed, but it's a shame. So I understand 5 or 6 people are arrested. The Interior Department can refer to you on that. And I hear they have 6 people under investigation.
Mr. President, you're about to speak to truckers. Truckers are at high risk of losing their jobs to AI because of
Well, now
self-driving
they're not.
vehicles.
You can't get a job. Right now, we have the highest job numbers we've ever had in the country, in the history of the country. And I'm just with a couple of the great senators and congressmen. We're talking, it's actually hard to fill the job. You know, nobody's ever seen a time like this. We have right now so many jobs that are going to be available. And the biggest problem we have is getting the people. So we're really doing spectacular in this area in Pennsylvania for steel. Eli Lilly just announced billions of dollars worth of plans. We have more plants being built right now in the United States than at any time in the history of our country.
Mr. President, when you meet with senators tomorrow, what will you say to allies of yours like Senator Cruz who've been critical of the Iran?
Well, I think anybody that's been critical of it has to be educated, even if they're friends of mine. Because we have Iran in a position that nobody's ever had. This should have been done for 47 years by other presidents. And we have Iran in a position where their military has been totally wiped out, their leadership has been wiped out, their radar has been wiped out, everything's been wiped out. They have not a good negotiating position. But despite that, and money that will be taken out of Iran is going to go to our farmers to give corn, soybeans, wheat to Iran because they have a hunger problem, they have a food problem, they have a medicine problem, they got a lot of problems. And they have an inflation. Their inflation now just hit 300%. So they have a lot of problems.
Mr. President, are you planning to do a federal takeover of D.C. soon since it looks likely that a socialist Denise
So we have a radical left communist elected, I guess, soon to be elected mayor of D.C. D.C. is now a safe, you people know better than anybody, it's a safe, beautiful city. When I came here, it was an unsafe, unkempt, horrible city. It was horrible. The monuments and the waterfalls and the statues and everything were graffiti written, hadn't been fixed in 50 years, clean. Now it's beautiful. We did 52 statues, monuments, waterfalls, including the thing that, you know, where the vandals hit the reflecting pool, but we'll get that back very quickly. In fact, I will say, this morning I sent people over, they say it looks absolutely beautiful. But we're going to have to let a little water out and fix it, and then we'll put the water back in. But just so you understand, so our country is doing really well, and we're going to keep it that way. And any senator that didn't vote for all of the things we need, because we're making an amazing deal with Iran. We're making a deal that's going to keep our country and the world safe, because we're not going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon, and they know that, and they agree to that. Thank you very much.
Alrighty there, President Trump taking questions just before we came on the air there in Reading, Pennsylvania. Again, at any moment we expect the president to step out onto the stage there at the Mac facility in Pennsylvania. As soon as he does, we will take you there live. Alrighty, in the meantime, still to come right here on Brookland News Live, your hometown, your weather. We'll bring you your forecast coming up right after the short commercial break. Stick with us. You're watching Brookland News Live on this beautiful Tuesday, despite the rain yesterday. Alrighty, we are still standing by because at any moment, again, Trump is going to speak from that Mac facility in Pennsylvania. We'll bring you there live as soon as his remarks begin. In the meantime, I want to get to your forecast right now in Brooklyn. A live look there, 80 degrees. Humidity not too bad despite the rain from yesterday. Still a little wet as you head outside. Puddles still in the road, but it looks nice as we take a look at this camera. The RDOT camera there in Brooklyn, Highway 49 and School Street. Things don't look too bad at all. Let's get you to your 3-day forecast, what things are going to pan out to be these next few days. Tonight, excuse me there for the technical glitch. Cloudy skies are going to continue. Low of 68 as we go into tonight. Then by Wednesday, showers in the morning are expected. We're watching to see how this is going to pan out tomorrow morning. High of 82, low of 69. By Thursday, some showers might linger, but sun is going to be out, though. That's the good thing. High of 88, low of 73. On Thursday, we're going to be watching all of this, and we'll see how it pans out. Luckily, I don't believe there's a big severe weather chance, just some showers. So tomorrow morning, some showers. Of course, we'll be with you back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. and we'll have your forecast for you when it is time. Quite an opposite story. Actually, we were just taking a look at the White House camera. We may have lost it. I'm checking really. Yes. We just lost our White House camera. We're going to take you there because it is a little bit of a rainy day throughout the East Coast. That rain that we were seeing throughout yesterday, now in DC today. And it was raining in Pennsylvania, as you saw the president when he took questions earlier today. We're going to sneak in a quick another break. When we come back, the Department of Justice held a press conference today on fraud. We want to air the question and answer piece on that. Of course, as Todd Blanche is trying to seek confirmation to become instead of acting attorney general, the full-time attorney general, essentially. We're going to bring you that coming up here next on Brooklyn News Live. So stick with us. We're back here in just a moment. And welcome back into Brooklyn News Live. We are continuing to stand by for the president to step out onto that stage in any moment. We will bring you there live the moment that he does. In the meantime, we want to get to you a feed from this morning from Washington, D.C., a developing story as Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche took questions after a press conference on the Justice Department's move to take down fraud. Let's listen in.
$6.6 billion of intended fraud loss. This year, you said it's $6.5 billion. I'm wondering, can you explain the discrepancy there? Is this as a result of fewer prosecutions, less money, or is, as Dr. Oz mentioned, the idea that you guys are catching this before the money goes out the door? Is that having an impact?
Yeah, look, I think it's a combination of everything you just said. It's a combination. There were a couple cases last year that made that number that high, and so we said this year. We have been doing an extraordinary amount of work, and when I say we, I'm not saying the Department of Justice, I'm saying everybody on this stage and the folks in the back, and part of that work includes turning off the spigot, that's right, and so it includes more detection early on that stops the claims from even going anywhere near a payment being issued, and that's part of the reason, and so yeah, we had a great year last year too when it comes to combating fraud. If you are an American taxpayer, you should be extraordinarily happy with what you see on the stage right now. Not only because of what we're talking about today, but because of what we were talking about a year ago when we had a similar day. And I expect that you're going to hear more from us over the next several months, because this, for the first time, at least in modern history, everybody is working together. When we talked about state AGs, we're talking about Republicans, Democrats, we're talking about New York, we're talking about Florida. This is a chronic problem that was actually hurting so many people, not only financially, but thievery, but also hurting, like you heard today, the stories. So look, I think we had a great year last year, right? A phenomenal year this year, and I expect there'll be more happening over the next year, the rest of the year.
And then just an off topic, if I could.
No off topics. Next question. And we've got a lot of people here for this reason. So we got a lot of people here for this reason. And they're giving up their time. So next question. Yes.
He gets to ask his question on the topic that he chooses. We're not here as spectators, so.
Are states, with both Democratic and Republican leaders, working with federal authorities to identify these cases or investigate and provide facts?
I think, Colin, you want to handle that?
Yes, thank you for the question. And just to clarify, last year, which was a great result by our department, there were 324 defendants that were charged in last year's takedown. Today, 455 in the last 14 days have been charged with fraud offenses. And to your question about the state participation, we have, last year, I believe there were 13 states that participated with us in our takedown. And this year, we are in the high 40s. Of those who have come to the table to add their resources to come work with us, because this truly is a national problem that demands a national response, and that's really driven by the White House Fraud Task Force, which is bringing everybody together to say, hey, if we don't solve it, no one will, and folks are coming to the table to ensure that we do this work against the fraudsters better than we've ever done it before.
In the case involving the basketball player who died, and I know, Dr. Oz, you were highlighting that, was that resolved and solved through sort of old-fashioned law enforcement work, or were there techniques and tools that the Justice Department or other agencies employed that resulted in that $89 million fraud being detected?
There was boots on the ground. Individuals went, they got the records, they could tell how many seconds transpired between when the actual EKG was sent to the doctor in question and when the readout was delivered, so saying that it was normal. And again, I'll speak as a heart physician. There's no way you could miss this diagnosis. This child's heart on autopsy was massive. And if it's 2.5 times bigger than your fist, it looks like that. And then the child had echocardiogram and EKG, also had Dopplers of his carotids and groins. And this doctor was practicing in multiple states, which is one of the things doctors do to hide their path. They can sneak around. And the mom is in Florida. And it's really tragic. And I just want to highlight, this is a dead child is a dead child, red state, blue state, it doesn't matter. And that's why I think so many states are participating, because Medicaid is a program that is run by the states, and having them all on board, I think, is a reinforcing element to the White House Anti-Fraud Task Force.
Are you getting cooperation from the healthcare corporations in terms of detecting this fraud? What's your relationship with the healthcare corporations? Are these one-offs that are just individuals that are kind of, sneaking through the getting around the controls, or are the companies helping to detect this fraud?
That's a good question. Who's the best to answer that? You want Colin?
Yes, we have great working relationships with healthcare corporations who are required to be alert to instances of fraud across their programs, and we collaborate with them to make sure that we can illuminate fraudsters across the healthcare portfolio, and we encourage every healthcare corporation to come work with us to root out those who are seeking to defraud the American people by exploiting our healthcare programs.
Mr. Attorney General, will you take one off-topic question?
No.
You got to take an off-topic.
Any other questions?
Sir?
All right, thanks everybody for coming. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, that press conference there from the DOJ this morning. Again, they were taking questions there. No off-topic questions, which is the press doesn't like it. I mean, you heard some backlash there in the background there from the press saying, "Come on, take an off-topic question." Okay, we do want to take you to another live event that we are monitoring right now. This is breaking news. Senate Leader John Thune taking questions ahead of the Senate War Powers vote. Let's begin listening in.
But one of the things that came out of that were these Trump accounts, and those Trump accounts go live on July 4th, and that's an opportunity for people in this country to save and to provide a better future for their kids. And so that was just one feature of the many that were included in that legislation. And so we will be celebrating 250 years of American history and freedom and the sacrifices that those who came before us made. We'll also be celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the Working Families Tax Cuts legislation.
Leader Thune, you've expressed your frustrations with the president about how he handled FISA, about how he handled Jay Clayton, dealing with the fund for the rioters. Do you have to express to the president some of your frustration with him, the idea that he's been jerking the Senate around the past couple of weeks?
Look, we have very candid conversations. I am very direct with the president. I shoot straight with him, and vice versa. And, you know, we at times have differences of opinion, but I think the important thing is the issues that really matter to the future of this country and to the American people, we have been united on. And we continue, as we move forward, to look for those opportunities where this team can pull together, House, Senate, and President and his team in the White House, on issues that are going to make this country safer and stronger and more prosperous. And so the conversations that we have about those issues are regular. And yes, and sometimes we have differences of opinion, but the one thing that we all agree on is we have an alignment of incentives. And as I said before, that's to keep the country safe, to put more money in the pockets of the American people, and to give them better opportunities to get ahead.
Are you okay with the firings that are underway in the Intelligence Committee by Bill Pulte and Senator Cotton? Are you okay with those firings as well?
Well, look, I think that there is a general agreement among Republicans and Democrats, as I had shared this, had this conversation with Democrats as well, that there are things about the Office of DNI that can be made more efficient, more effective, and streamlined. And frankly, I think that's something that many of us agree on. And you know, how they go about that obviously is something that we'll want to have some visibility into, and Senator Cotton and his committee and the rest of us here who care about intelligence and national security matters, I expect will have some input into that. But I think it's fair to say that there is a consensus view around here that it is time for the ODNI to be scaled down. We've got great intelligence services in this country, and at least that's my view, and I can't speak for everybody here, but the conversations I've had with people suggest to me that there is an interest in doing something that makes that agency more effective and more efficient. I don't know if
Senator Cotton, those firings.
The ODNI has employees mostly from other intelligence agencies. I think in the most cases, they would be better off doing real intelligence work at those agencies. That's returning intelligence officers to their agencies. I have a plan for that. I've worked with the administration on it. Some of it happened under Director Gabbard. It's going to continue under Acting Director Pulte. Once we confirm Director Clayton, I'm sure it will continue as well. The ODNI is too big and too bloated.
Leader Thune, are you concerned that any agreement that's made with Iran, that you won't be able to trust Iran to actually follow through with any agreement that you end up coming, or the United States ends up coming with them to end this war?
I think any agreement with the Iranians is, again, it's the trust but verify. I just don't think that you know, these are people who have a history and have proven in the past not to be honest brokers or be trustworthy. But that's why I think it's important that you have compliance and enforcement mechanisms in place in any agreement that we reach with them that ensures that anything that they get, you know, in relief or economic support in any way is conditioned upon them winding down and getting rid of their nuclear program. I think that's something a lot of us agree on.
Democrats are demanding, as you know, a 2-year extension in state requirements to pay into SNAP. And that is the price that they're trying to exact for supporting the Farm Bill. You sit on the Ag Committee. What is your sense of whether it's going to take a party line vote to get Chairman Bozeman's bill out of that committee? And do you expect a struggle to get the 60 votes on the floor for cloture on a Farm Bill?
My understanding is that the bill that will be reported out of the Senate Ag Committee does not include a provision dealing with SNAP. I think most of us believe that SNAP, like many other programs, benefits from reforms. And I think there were reforms in the bill we passed last summer, some of which are work requirements. And by the way, those work requirements were less strenuous, less restrictive than the work requirements included in the Clinton administration 30 years ago. But I think that that's something that most Americans agree with. And I think that those types of reforms are reforms that ought to take effect. And then there were some reforms that dealt with how states were using the program, and there were states that were taking advantage of and abusing the program. So I think those reforms were a big part of what we did last summer. I think they're reforms that the American people largely would support. And And so I would hope that we can execute on moving a farm bill based upon the components of that farm bill and not try and undo something we did last summer that many of us supported and agree with because we believe they're the right policies.
What is Congress's role in approving whatever comes out of this deal with Iran in 60 days? What do you hope the Senate will do?
Well, I think the Senate, we're obviously, many of us are anxious to hear more about it, which we hope to. Many of the people who would brief us on that are overseas right now involved in the negotiations. But, you know, my assumption is that, as always, there are certain notification requirements that are included in legislation that we passed that we have voted on in the past. And if there is some deal that is struck, I would expect at some point Congress would have some sort of vote on it. And whether that's a resolution of disapproval or something, I don't know the answer to that. One more.
Congress should have visibility.
GOP senators tomorrow. What do you expect out of that? And can you respond to the Dear Colleague letter that Senator Scott sent out?
I think that there are many things that were mentioned probably in that letter that all of us are supportive of. I think the question is we have to figure out how do we maximize our opportunity, optimize the chance to get as much done as we can in the amount of time that we have left between now and the midterm elections. And so as you look at what that agenda consists of, there are a number of things that could get slotted in. Now, first and foremost, I would argue, is our defense authorization bill, which hopefully we'll be able to take up as soon as we come back after the 4th of July. But there are a number of other issues that could ripen, and that depend largely on whether or not they have bipartisan support. But I'm hoping that as we sit down and meet as a family, as a team, that we can look at some of the things that we all want to work together on to try and get done before this election. And there are things that I believe will create a record of accomplishment that our candidates can run on and that will enable us to take an argument to the American people that will persuade them that they want to keep majorities here in Congress, in the United States Senate, and in the House that are Republican, to work with this president to get good things done for this country. So it's a, you know, what exactly those are, I've got a list, we've got a list. It's all going to depend largely on what comes together in the next few weeks. But I can assure you we're going to be active and busy and trying to create that record of accomplishment.
Will you be at the meeting, sir? Will you be at the meeting, sir?
Alrighty, there you go. Senate leaders speaking there. We are also going to be standing by because after this, we do expect to hear from the Democrats still as well. So we are standing by for that. You can still see the press all sitting there as, again, Senate Democrats are going to speak from the same stand that the Senate Republicans just did, coming up in the next few moments. Okay, want to bring you some news that is just coming in. Give me one moment. Again, we're going to be watching this camera here. For when Senate Dems begin speaking, we're still watching the camera in Pennsylvania as well for when President comes out to speak. You see the Democrats, they're getting ready to speak, preparing the stand there. So we're monitoring that and we'll bring you updates on that when we get them. Okay, we do have some breaking news coming into us right now from President Trump, who now says that 6 arrests have been made. We want to show you right now his Truth Social post that we are getting in. Stand by with me. I will show it to you. This is the president today on Truth Social, posting several images of the reflecting pool. He noted that earlier in the video he played at the top of the hour, where he took questions saying the pictures this morning show the reflecting pool looking beautiful. There you go. There are some of the photos from this morning. But what's been catching a lot of people's eye is the president saying this on Truth Social, quote, 6 people have been arrested and 7 people have been cited, for the damage they did to our country's now beautiful reflecting pool. The 350-foot gash made by a very sharp knife or razors is actually numerous slashes over a very long 350-foot length. It was purposefully, and criminally done, and somebody had to work very hard, probably in the dark of night, to create such a condition. Likewise, the small area at the bottom of the pool was cut and powerfully lifted off the surface, leaving very jagged, uneven edges. The largest areas of grass are being replaced in any event. Even prior to fixing those areas, the reflecting pool as beautiful as it can be, we will drain some of the water either immediately before or after the 4th of July to do the permanent repair. President Donald J. Trump, so there you go, on Truth Social today, making the announcement that there was this gash in the pool. That was something that he was pressed hard on yesterday when we were live yesterday, and we played some of the Q&A that was going on at the White House. He was questioned hard by, I believe it was CBS News' Ed O'Keefe. He was questioned hard by him, saying, you haven't provided evidence, images, video showing that there was a person that gashed this pool. We know that there have been several arrests made. That is a true statement. Video has revealed it. People touching the reflecting pool have either been cited or arrested. We know a former Olympian was arrested. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. So again, all of this now coming out today, that 6 arrests made, 7 people have been cited, according to the president here. What's also been noted in the news coverage that I'm reading, the news that I'm paying attention to, in the video that I've seen, there is a large kind of like what appears to be like a portable stand of several cameras that are watching the entire area of the National Mall, specifically around the reflecting pool. So it would be interesting to see if there really is video behind this claim that the president has made that there was a several gashes made among 350 feet. He says, quote, by a very sharp knife or razor. So it's going to be interesting to see how that will play out. We're going to take our third break of the hour. When we come back, we are continuing to stand by for President Trump to step out at any moment onto the stage. We're going to keep talking about the news here until our hour wraps up at 2 p.m. today. If he speaks out, if he steps out on stage and begins speaking during our time, we'll air that for you live. If he does not, we'll just keep teasing it and telling you that it could begin at any moment. It was scheduled to begin about 1:05 p.m. Central Time. It is now 1:37 Central Time. As soon as it does begin, we will take you there live. Again, another commercial break. We're back with more news and the stories making headlines on the other side. welcome back into Brookland News Live. We noted earlier that we're continuing to stand by for President Trump to speak. As soon as he does, we will take you there live. In the meantime, I want to take you through a few of the other stories that we are monitoring. Today is primary day across the nation once again. The nation for several states, including New York. USA Today is reporting on some of the biggest races to watch today in the primary day. And I'll change that from the nation to several states, just so it's like, what's the word? Politically correct. There we go. Primary day across several states. There we go. Just want to make sure that is politically correct. Okay, so I want to read you off some of this. This is, what I want to do this. I'm going to pull it up full screen for you guys. The reporting full screen, and we'll just kind of slowly ease through it. This is again from USA Today, and they're reporting on all of this. Let's read it to you. Oh, they have an AI overview. Okay. Quote, a liberal fined for a Utah House seat, a Kennedy family member, and a governor known to feud with the White House highlight a fury of summertime elections this week, but the story to follow amid June 23rd, 4 state primaries might be the power of endorsement, either from President Donald Trump or New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani. We were talking about the power of endorsement earlier. The story goes on to say both parties will test the power of endorsement. That is a direct quote from John McLennan, professor of government at the College of William and Mary. Here are the races happening June 23rd and a few key races to watch. They say which states have June 23rd elections. That is Maryland, New York, South Carolina, and Utah as a House and Governor primary. Maryland, a House and Governor primary in New York, a House and a Governor primary runoff in South Carolina. That is a GOP runoff. I do know that. And a Utah House primary. South Dakota has a municipal general runoff on June 23rd. And I believe we're seeing a little bit of action maybe on that camera from the president. Not quite clear. They're following somebody. I don't know who that is. Now they're following someone else. Okay, I don't know. We'll keep watching it. It's there on your screen. You can see. One of the most highly watched districts this primary day is in New York, where Jack Schlossberg, a social media personality, and Kennedy Hair is running for office. Schlossberg is the son of Caroline Kennedy and the grandson of John F. Kennedy and Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hopefully I am. And is known for his sometimes outlandish social media posts. Now, despite Schlossberg's national attention, most current polls show either New York Assembly members Alex Borez or Micah Lasher as front runners. So that is a race to watch. Again, a Kennedy there in that race in New York. Then it goes on to this next question here. Will the Mamdani endorsement play? New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani did not endorse Schlossberg. However, his endorsements in other races for the 7th, 10th, and 13th districts will be ones to watch, according to McLennan. His endorsements are for progressive candidates challenging incumbent Democrats. In the 10th, he supported Brad Lander. This is in the 10th district over Representative Dan Goldman. And in the 13th district, he supported, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that name. I know I'm probably going to pronounce it incorrectly. But he supported them over Representative Adriana S. Pilot. Quote, his ability to transfer his support to other socialist candidates will be tested, McLennan says. And then a new test here also in the battle for redistricting is this new map in Utah. This is the first primary in which a redrawn congressional map in Utah is in effect. The map that became effective in November of 2025 recast the state's first district, which represents Salt Lake City, toward Democrats. Republicans promised to appeal to the state Supreme Court, but the court ruled in February that Republican counterplans violated a Utah referendum prohibiting gerrymandering, solidifying the single district centered on the increasingly liberal Salt Lake City. Keeping the city in one district almost certainly will send a Democrat to the House in what has been a, quote, spirited primary, McLennan says. A frontrunner is Democratic Representative Ben McAdams, who represented the 4th District from 2019 to 2021. Quote, McAdams now must defend his credentials against a field of challengers who say he was not liberal enough. That is another quote there from McGlennon. Maryland's Wes Moore also running in Maryland's gubernatorial primary. That is in Maryland. The spotlight will be on incumbent Democrat Governor Wes Moore, who is seeking re-election. Moore has traded barbs with Trump over issues such as election security, the Potomac River sewage spill, and Moore's missing invitation. Oh my gosh. To an annual meeting of governor. Moore defeated Republican Dan Cox back in 2022, and Cox is back in the running this year for the GOP nomination. Cox was endorsed by Trump in the previous election, but has yet to receive the president's backing. Also running in the GOP primary is Ed Hale, who switched parties from the Democrats last summer, saying the move was intended to boost chances of his beating Moore. So, not quite sure what that means. I haven't done deep research into this election, but is he still running with Democratic policies? Quote, Moore is less concerned about that. More concerned about that than helping one of his potential GOP opponents win the Republican primary, McGlennon says. He wants to face Dan Cox, who he crushed in 2022. Whoever wins the GOP primary has little chance against Moore, but the governor would like a wide margin as he explodes the possibility of a presidential run in 2028. Of course, he is one of those people that is kind of on this potential list. Could they announce that they are running? That is a quote again from McGlennon. 2 House races in Maryland's 5th and 6th districts are also races to watch, McGlennon notes. Representative Stein, I believe that's maybe Steny Hoyer, a longtime Democratic leader in the House, now retiring, is opening a seat in the 5th. A crowded slate of Democrats are vying to fill that position in a state that does not require a runoff, he says. Quote, a candidate who draws as little as 20% of the vote could emerge as the winner in a district with which will almost certainly elect the Democrat nominee in November. Quote, Hoyer, who is white, has faced increasingly tough primaries as his district has increasingly become more heavily compromised by minority voters. Hoyer has endorsed Adrian Boyfo, a former aide to the incumbent, who faces Rashawn Baker, a former county executive, and Harry Dunn, a U.S. Capitol Police officer during the January 6, 2021 riot at Congress in the primary race. In the 6th district, former Representative David Trone is now running for a seat he gave up back in 2024 to run unsuccessfully for the Senate. Quote, though not as heavily Democratic as the 5th, this district is likely to be a safe one for the eventual winner, McGlennon says. So again, lots of races to watch there throughout New York, Maryland, South Carolina, and Utah. There's also in South Carolina a GOP Republican primary that we are watching and monitoring there. So lots of races going on, lots of races that we are watching. Again, that is a report from USA Today on the elections to watch. Just a reminder here, in case you are ignoring the feed that has been on the right side of your screen for the majority of there. And actually, as we speak, President Trump is now entering the stage here. We've only got about 11 minutes left in the show. In the meantime, though, we will take you there live and listen in to his remarks on primary day. He is in Pennsylvania, not having their primary today, though, but in what is a key place to watch in the midterms. He's going to be speaking from a MAC facility there. As the intro music is playing to avoid copyright here, we'll keep it at a low. The music has just come to an end. I'm actually going to turn up the audio here. Still playing, but a little quieter than it once was. We'll keep it low here. Again, we're waiting for the president to continue walking to the stage here as he speaks in Pennsylvania. And you can hear the theme music there continuing to play in the background. If you remember, there was reports back from the Trump administration back in March that the president was going to begin basically kind of being on this like campaigning for the midterms. It's common that whoever the party of the president does not win during the midterms. That is something that's happened so often. And back in March, it was like, okay, during the spring, they're going to be doing full steam ahead midterms campaigning with the president traveling across the nation. Of course, the war in Iran was kind of, as the president, to put it in the president's word here, was an excursion. I think you could say it was an excursion from the campaigning that was said to be happening. So now the stop at Mack Trucks manufacturing plant is marking his first major domestic event since signing an interim agreement aimed at ending the war in Iran. Let's begin listening in here as the president, now in Pennsylvania, speaking on as his campaign now shifting our focus toward domestic affordability and economic gains and that policy here. Let's begin listening to the president.
We won it by so much. And remember, I had the couple of little statements: too big to rig, make it too big to rig, because these people cheat like hell. They cheat like hell, but we won it by a lot. And maybe we should run again. Should we run one more time? I'd like to do that. I'd like to do that. But I got more votes than any candidate in the history of Pennsylvania. Can you believe that, Bo? You would have gotten it. And today I'm especially honored to be here in the place that builds some of the toughest vehicles on the road, Mack Trucks. Mack Trucks is doing a great job. We have all of the Mack people, the chairman, we have the whole group of here, all the leaders, the big guys. They're trying to get a contract for 15,000 trucks. 15,000. I said, that's a lot. I said, how many are you looking for? 10, 15? No, 15,000, sir. That's a lot of trucks. For more than 100 years, this legendary company has been making trucks right here in eastern Pennsylvania, building the heavy-duty machinery that keeps our economy rolling, our factories moving, and our industries rolling all across the nation. Who's a great guy, a great patriot, very Republican too, which I like. He's a very strong Republican. Stephen, where are you, Stephen? Stephen. We got to get a certain very talented congressman reelected. You know that. We got to get him. Where are you? Where are you, Mr. Congressman? We got to get you back in. Thank you, and thank you, Stephen. But a very special thanks to every single worker at this fantastic factory. The job you're doing here is incredible. And I know you're applying for a big one, and we'll see how that goes. We'll have to call up some people and see if it's good. If your price is right. Is your price right, Stephen? I don't know. Maybe we'll get it down a little bit. We'll get it down. 15,000 trucks. That's a lot of trucks. But that's what this is all about. It's greatness. You built this country, and you are the ones who are making America great again. We're the hottest country in the world. For decades, the workers of this Commonwealth watched globalist politicians let other countries. For decades, the workers of this Commonwealth watched globalist politicians let other countries rip you off and close your factories, rob your jobs, take them away to foreign lands. And then I came along. We stopped it very quickly. Then we had a rigged election. But they were so stupid they kept everything going a little bit for us. And what we've done in the last year and a half, nobody's ever seen anything like it. They put America first, they put China first, they put illegal aliens first and everybody else first, but we put you first by a lot. But at long last, you finally have a president who is putting workers first, putting Pennsylvania first, and putting America first. We're doing that, and we're doing that like nobody's ever seen before. starting on my first day back in office, and this goes all the way back to 2016 too, but right from a year and a half ago, nobody's ever seen anything like this. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world by a lot. But I stood up to the trade cheaters and abusers and violators of the world like no president has ever stood up before. And now I'm standing up again because Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, if that's okay. And we're doing quite well. I placed 50% tariffs on foreign copper, aluminum, and steel so they couldn't come in and steal your jobs. And sometimes even more than 100% tariffs. They weren't going to come in from foreign lands and steal your jobs. If they wanted to come in, they pay 100%, they pay 200%, they pay I don't care what it is. They're not going to steal your jobs, okay? And they stop. And right now we have more factories being built, and I mean car factories, AI factories, factories of every type that we've ever had in the history of our country by 3 times. That's because they didn't want to pay the tariff. How don't you pay a tariff? You build your factory here and you hire American workers. It's quite simple, actually. But as you know, I placed a 25% tariff on foreign automobiles, and very importantly, I posed a 25% tariff on medium and heavy-duty trucks, so that Mack Truck could do very well with this factory in Pennsylvania. But all American roads will be filled with American trucks very shortly. Very few people are able to compete with us anymore. They used to rip us off. It was like we were a bunch of babies. American labor worked with us too. I just met the head of your unions, and they've been terrific. They work with us and they're fair. They treated us good. Maybe we can negotiate a little bit tougher. Where the hell are the union guys? Those guys are great. They're great. There they are. I want to just say hello. We gotta make sure you vote for our congressman here. I'm not doing this for my health. Music. We even have music. Within a single year of taking office, I slashed trade deficit with China by the largest amount in the history of trade. And we, by the way, have the biggest trade deficit cut in the history of our country, 67%. Think of this. We had a trade deficit. We cut our trade deficit. If you're a president and you cut it by 1%, they say, oh, you're doing a great job. 2%, you're a genius. I cut it by 67%. That's why you have all of these factories being built. They'll soon be opening. They're already opening, but when those factories are opening, I don't know what you're going to do. You're going to negotiate very good salaries, that I can tell you, because they need you. In many ways, they need you more than you need them. American exports to the rest of the world are up by $150 billion. You hear that, Bo? It's not bad. You're going to wrestle a long way to make that. Bo is going to have to win a lot of tournaments to have to make that money. Think of it, $150 billion up. We never had that. We always have losses. We take in much more than we send out. Now we're up $150 billion, and that's nothing, because when all these factories are opening up, Mr. Senator, another great one, what a great senator you have. Did you fight hard? David, did you fight hard? He was with me at, I think, every stop. I said, where the hell is David? He's right there, sir. And he's working hard, and he's a great guy, and he's working very hard for you. But a short time ago, we were a dead country. We were laughed at all over the world. We were a dead country. People were laughing.
Alrighty there, President Trump. I know I noted here is when we took the shot that we weren't going to have a lot of time to listen in, and I do apologize about that. I mean, we only have 1 hour, so we're here for the 1 hour. Sometimes we're able to expand it longer than that. Today is not one of those days. So again, there, President Trump speaking from that Mack facility in Pennsylvania. If you want to continue listening into his complete remarks, I know some of the network news channels are streaming it. If you have access to those, I believe also you can just look it up on YouTube. And I believe if you go to the White House's channel on YouTube, they are streaming it as well there. So again, President Trump speaking right now from that Mack facility in Pennsylvania. We will continue monitoring his remarks. If any major news is made from there, you can expect us to have it right here tomorrow. Remember, you can join us. I know today was 1 p.m. We trying to let you know if we're going to be here at a different time. Most days, most weekdays at least, it's going to be at 2 p.m. I know tomorrow and Thursday will be at 2 p.m. as well, so make sure you join us then. Lots of news still to come tomorrow, and then we'll have more news on Thursday. We'll be here again on Friday at 2 p.m. as well, so for the rest of the week it's 2 p.m. Today's the only day it is 1 p.m. Thanks so much for joining us. We want you all to have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, you guys. We will see you here again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Make sure to join us live.